Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Andrew. Today I'm going to be discussing the top 10 adult fantasy series I want to start in 2023. Some of them I want to start, some of them I need to continue. So, first of all, one I want to start is Malice by John Gwynne. I've been seeing him all up in people's favorites list. Not really for the second book in that series, I feel like, but The Shadow of the Gods was a lot of people's favorites, but a lot of people before that knew him from his Malice series. I'm gonna start with Malice and then see if I like it enough to continue the series. If not, maybe I'll try to read The Shadow of the Gods instead. I don't know, but I do want to read this series. I've heard it's compared to actually I haven't heard it compared to anything, but people say it's like classic good and evil, modern fantasy with some classical tropes, and it has like demons and angels in it, which I love. So I definitely want to read at least the first book. And then we have Joe Abercrombie, who is again on several people's favorites list. I've actually started the First Law, The Blade Itself. I've started The Blade Itself, and I think I'm a little less than halfway into it. And I know people say there's no plot, but there really is, like, absolutely no plot. But I knew that going in, so I'm just trying to, kind of just keep listening to it until something happens. But I definitely want to continue because I just, everyone talks about him as a favorite, so. Then we have The Realm of the Elderlings, which is another series that I have seen many people be getting into that I also am dying to get into. I did read Assassin's Apprentice last year and thought that it was like a 3-star read for me, but I've been wanting to continue the series ever since I finished it because there was enough things about the first book and the world that I find very intriguing, and I really feel like the series as a whole is going to really deliver like the tropes and the magic systems and the things I like in fantasy. And I know everyone describes it as very emotional, and I feel like that is something that I want in my books. Next we have The Shadow of What Was Lost by James, I believe it's Islington. I've heard he was inspired to write this after I think he read Wheel of Time and maybe Kingkiller, or maybe it was Kingkiller and Mistborn. So I love Kingkiller. Mistborn was less of a hit for me, but I've read all 3 of the books of Mistborn and I haven't continued on with Kingkiller. That's also on my list. But I'm just curious because I feel like everyone says that this is, like, the setup of the world sounds so intriguing. It's like people that all have these, like, their memories are all messed up, so they don't know if like the history events of what has happened is actually them or if it's someone else. So that alone is very intriguing, and I want to give these books a shot. Now I've heard you have to read them all back to back, so I'll have to be in the mood to read 3 chunky fantasy books in a row, which I don't know when that will be, but hopefully this year, because you just have to hold so many facts in your mind from what I've heard. But yeah, it's only a trilogy though, so we'll see. And then next we have Jade City by Fonda Lee, which again has graced many of people's favorites lists, especially when Jade Legacy came out. I mean, I think almost every single person who finished that trilogy put it as their #1 book of the year. So I need to read that book. Even if I give the first one 3 stars, I think I'm going to continue the series anyways. And pretty much if I give a first book 3 stars, I feel like it's worth at least going on to the next book, because for me 3 stars could be, I don't know, I'll have to make a video on our rating systems and stuff, but it's enough for me to want to continue, most likely. And then, as I mentioned already, we did talk about the Kingkiller Chronicles. So The Name of the Wind, followed by The Wise Man's Fear. There's also the novella, The Slow Regard of Silent Things. I also own that, and I know there's also the Lightning Tree short story in this Rogues collection, which I also would be curious to read. I absolutely love The Name of the Wind. The writing in that is just absolutely stunning. So I know there's a lot of controversy about Patrick Rothfuss and if he's going to give us a 3rd book or not, but the 2nd book is here and I'd like to read it. Next up we have Red Sister by Mark Lawrence, which, something about this series, I don't know, it just appeals to me, the way people talk about the magic systems and polar ice caps and assassin nuns, which usually assassin nuns doesn't really appeal to me that much, but something about this and the way people have discussed these characters, I feel like I want to give it a shot. That's all I know. Next up we have Black Sun by Rebecca Roanhorse, which is one I have not yet, obviously this whole list is ones I haven't read yet. But this is one I would really like to get into. I mean, it's supposed to be set in pre-Columbian South America, like, which we need way more of, but like that in and of itself is just fascinating. And I think the series overall is called Between Earth and Sky, and there's like this event happening that is counting down to like something major at the end of the book, and I know there's LGBT representation in it, so I definitely want to read that as well, and it's written by a person of color, so just all reasons to prioritize it. And then next on my list is The Rage of Dragons, which I was reading the Poppy War, and I know that I saw a review by R.F. Kwong underneath The Rage of Dragons, and she loved it. And I feel like something about rage, like the title having rage in it, and the Poppy War was personally my #1 favorite book of the year last year. I feel like it's gonna hit for me. I feel like revenge plots, they do it for me. For me, they really do it. I love a good revenge story, especially a justified revenge story. I eat that shit up. And I know our main character is literally just all he cares about is revenge, so we'll see how that works for me or if it doesn't. But I, again, want to give it a shot. And finally, I can't remember who specifically told me to read this, but it's Theft of Swords. I think I saw it on Life is Monet's favorites list. I saw it on, I believe, Booked and Busy Erin, I believe it was on her favorites list, but then I also just a couple days ago saw it on Sarah Without an H list as well, and me and Sarah seem to be mostly similar in taste. There's definitely some things that she likes that I don't, and vice versa, I think me and Monet have very similar. Monet really seems to value like high quality writing and fantasy as well, so I feel like that's something we're on the same page about. Although I don't think that these have a high quality writing. I've heard they're very easy and accessible and cozy fantasy, again, which is something I talked about when I talked about Ursi in my YA fantasy video. But I love cozy fantasy. I'm not sure all of these are going to meet that criteria, but for me, something about Theft of Swords is giving me cozy vibes, but I could be wrong. I don't know. We'll see. But I'm very intrigued. I feel like I see people who like this maybe don't like Lies of Locke Lamora, and I DNF the Lies of Locke Lamora, so we'll have to see if that's the case for me. I'll just have to see, because maybe something about the friendship in Theft of Swords just hits better for some people. And maybe I'm some people, but we'll see. So those are all the series of adult fantasy I would like to get into this year, at least the first book. If you've read any of them, please let me know your thoughts, your opinions. If you have any that you think are better than what I listed, please let me know. I will leave my Goodreads, Instagram, Twitter, it will all be in the description for you to check out if you'd like. Otherwise, have a great day. Bye.